Good morning all, CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Tuesday morning, September 21st, and we are looking at Window Trader's market profile of SPY, IWM, and triple Qs. Lots to talk about. Let's try to get to it and keep this video as short as possible. So yesterday, feeding frenzy in the last half hour, last almost hour to 60 minutes. L makes a new low, only to rip up $4, and here we are this morning attempting to gap higher into a large gap. That goes for all, well, it goes for Russell, not so much for triple Qs. They have not taken out yesterday's high just yet. Yesterday's volume was the second heaviest of the year. Not surprisingly, the heaviest volume of the year was back on that day in March when it was the only other time we got below the 50-day moving average. And yesterday actually got below even more. That was back on March 4th. So amazing how the sellers pick up. But let's keep things in perspective, what's going on here. And then we have a very important question to pose. First off, we know this isn't long-term sellers. If you think the Fidelities, Putnams, Teachers Pension Funds would allow this market to push it down 2% only to have it come back $4 in the last hour and now gap higher today, not happening. It just is another point of how vicious and how we have to respect what short-term algos, high-frequency traders, and retail traders can do. Okay? Long-term sellers only stop when they exhaust themselves. That was not long-term selling. March of 2020 was a great example of long-term sellers just finally exhausting themselves. Now, here's the question we need to pose to ourselves, as well as sellers have done. Right? They've changed the landscape. They took out the monthly low, the weekly's down, the daily, well, was down. If we take out yesterday's high, we'll be back to balance. But change took place back on, I'm looking for that, Friday, September 10th. We had the trend day. They ripped it lower. A lot of it was taken back on that Monday, but we never got above H's high, right? So sellers have been in control ever since. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trading days. They've been in control. Yet we haven't been able to hold a trend day. Now, here's the question we need to pose ourselves. Is this going to be the same old that we've seen for years now, where sellers attempt and fail, and then we start to grind right back up to all-time highs? Or is this a bull market that's really aging and is in its last stages of exhausting itself, of attempting each push down to come back? I don't have the answer to that yet. I can tell you this, though. Until we take out and get into the upper distribution from that Friday on September 10th, sellers are still in control. Now, we posed the question of an outside month down, outside month up last week, said everything's got to be put on the table, and it still does. Right now, we're back inside last month's range, even with the dividend in SPY, so ES is firmly back inside of it. But until we get acceptance back above that Friday afternoon rally high and or those last set of single prints, nothing's changed in the bigger picture. So you have to, I know we're day traders, but you have to pose that question to, is this the same old, which a good chance it is, or is this the last stages of a bull market exhausting itself trying to get pushes up? Good volume again, pre-market, over 1 million shares. As far as destinations, right now, I'm just going to give you the overnights, which right now the overnight high is 438.93. The overnight low is now 433.72. Obviously, if we gap higher, yesterday's high becomes a downside destination. You should have all the others. Our destinations are far and wide apart. If this gap fills, our first destination to the downside is the overnight low, which is 433.73. Yes, we could use M's high to see if we stay out of it. It was going to be a double distribution day. Can you really lean against A's low now? Technically, we did not have a double distribution day. We took it all back. So you can get some major chop if this gap fills. On the upside, our first destination is into the overnight high, 438.93, and then the gap fill. And then a 9 wide from the 17th. So as far as a game plan, gapping into a gap, there really isn't one. Look, I didn't take a trade in A period and had a very good day yesterday. Probably won't take one in A either. So I'll let B hopefully dictate what the market wants to do. If we hold both gaps, this morning's gap and yesterday's gap in A, and then B one times frame down, well, then I'm going to take a short play to at least go fill the gap. On the flip side, if we push up, don't fill the gap from yesterday, but then B takes out A's high and starts gunning for it, again, possibly take a call play with the higher value to go at least fill the gap. So odds of a play in A are slim. And then on the chart, I know this went longer than I wanted it to, but I think it's important to go over, the game plan is important, but to go over what's transpired is even more important, right? So the monthly is balanced now. It's a 3-month balance. We'll see by the end of next Thursday if we have an outside month down or an outside month up. Remains to be seen. Weekly is still firmly down. The gap is my main focus. Unless that gap fills, nothing's changed. And on the daily, same thing. We're still, gap is my main focus. But if we do take out yesterday's high, we go from down to balance. But again, that Friday's upper distribution from September 10th is still my line in the sand. And that's still all the way up at, I forgot what price it's even at right now. Let me just get to it real quick. That is from, let me see, the 10th high. That's all the way up at 449 and change, which means you would take over not only the 20-day moving average you'd take back up, but you would also get above the 50, which is at not only would you get above the 50, you'd get above the 20, which is at 448.03. So those are very visual points. First the gap fill, then the 50, then the 20, and then getting over that hump where sellers took charge and ever since then have held it. Good luck trading today. Have a great day, and we'll recap at 4 p.m.